Our last news story of the day, folks, not to frustrate the hell out of you, but Kamala Harris was on the tarmac and she was asked regarding the student loan debt, how it's going to get paid. If you recall, we did a whole episode, at least a segment of it, on Peter Doocy asking very clearly to Karine Jean-Pierre. I mean, he literally couldn't be any more clear, saying, who is going to pay for it? Where is the money coming from, Karine? Who is going to pay for it? Where is the money coming from, Karine? I mean, he literally kept repeating himself. If you haven't checked that episode, folks, check it out because it is wild. And he's been having to do that time and time again where he's just repeating one question and they're not willing to answer. Well, thankfully, you have a reporter that's willing to do the exact same thing here of going like, who specifically is going to be paying for this thing? And do you think, do we get an answer from her? Do you think that she's willing to say, oh yeah, let me go ahead and answer this for you. I'll give you a clear answer. Probably not, but let's go ahead and roll it anyways.
Who specifically is footing the bill for student loan forgiveness? We haven't gotten a concrete answer from the administration yet.
Well, let's start with this. First of all, a lot of the same people who are criticizing what we rightly did in following through on a commitment that we made to forgive student loan debt are the same people who voted for a tax cut for the richest Americans. So when we look at who is benefiting from this, 90% of the people who are going to benefit from student loan forgiveness make under $75,000 a year. And that debt has been the reason that they're unable to start a family, buy a home, and pursue their piece of the American dream.
Do you think
We're talking about $10,000 here, folks. $10,000 is hindering people from buying a home and chasing the American dream. There's so many things that are wrong with that. If that is the case, if you are actually hindering somebody from buying a home, then why would you not talk about at least giving some sort of debt forgiveness to those that actually have mortgages? If somebody's struggling to pay off $10,000 of student loans, you giving them that money is not going to allow them to buy a house. It's not just all of a sudden going to open the floodgates and all of a sudden now you have all this money in your pocket. You're still in a deficit probably. You probably have credit card debt because the way that you handle your finances, maybe the career path you chose isn't the right one. I mean, I strongly encourage all of you to watch Dave Ramsey because he has a litany of callers that just talk all the time about it. I would hear it during accounting. We have clients coming in saying, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that, I don't know where my money's going, I don't know how I'm paying for things, I don't know why I have this loan, how do I get rid of it? Just because you give somebody $10,000 does not mean it opens up all the floodgates and all these doors start opening and just endless possibilities of what could happen. If they're struggling before, odds are they're still going to be struggling later, just not as much because you just gave them $10,000. By the way, again, we're still in inflation. Do you think this might inflate the economy in some way, shape, or form because you just relinquished everybody's debt here? It's so crazy. Well, it's tiresome, you guys. It really is. Just this whole administration is so tiring on what they do, and the gaslighting, the lying, the not answering of questions. You just literally want to hit your head against the wall. So as you saw, while on the tarmac, after she traveled to see the since scrubbed launch of Artemis 1 that's costing us billions of dollars over budget, by the way, a reporter asked Harris, the administration expects to play for the plan. Like, who's going to pay for it? Kamala. Well, who specifically is footing the bill for student loan forgiveness? The Fox News journalist asked. It's like only Fox asked in this question. We haven't gotten a concrete answer from the administration yet. Instead, offering an explanation on how the program will be financed, Harris simply began reciting administration talking points defending the program. Well, let's start with this. First of all, a lot of people, some who are criticizing what rightly did in the following through a commitment that we made to forgive student loan debt, and the same people who voted for a tax cut for the richest Americans. I would like to point out that it's the richest Americans that are actually paying for the majority of taxes in this country. I'd also like to point out it's the richest Americans that are also employing a lot of Americans here in this country. But no, continue to hit the rich. Continue to hound them, you knucklehead. I don't understand why they're so against rich people. Honest to God, she just talked about allowing people to go after the American dream because you're somehow releasing $10,000 for them. How about those that actually obtained the American dream of becoming wealthy, and now all of a sudden they're evil because they succeeded in America, of which the American dream thrives? And by the way, you don't have to be a millionaire to attain the American dream. Hell, just people coming here and just having a business of them for their own, having those rights and those freedoms that are granted within the U.S. Constitution is living the American dream. not being under a freaking, fascist regime or a dictatorship or whatever it may be, like North Korea or what you see in Venezuela or other places around the globe. They're coming here for a better life, and just living here in America is the American dream. But I don't understand the fascination with Bernie Sanders, AOC, Kamala Harris now going after the rich. I honestly, God, I don't get it. So when we look at who's benefiting from this, 90% of people who are going to benefit from student loan forgiveness make under $75,000 a year. If that's the case, if it's 90%, then why are you including the $125,000? Because the limit, right? The $10,000 goes to everybody that basically has the loan and has under $125,000. It's crazy. And the debt has been the reason they are unable to start a family, buy a home, and pursue their piece of the American dream. $10,000 stopping you from starting a family? Some of these people started a family before they took out the loan, which was a bad financial decision. Because obviously we know how expensive mouths are to feed. I mean, there's so many things we can go with this, folks. It's down a rabbit hole. I'm not going to get in that rabbit hole. You understand where I'm coming from. Make good decisions. Don't take out loans that you can't pay back. Don't expect other people for a handout. For all those that got the handout, kudos to you. You deserve it. You got it. So you might as well take it. Harris claimed critics of the plan voted to give a tax cut to the richest Americans, but Blaze reported numerous Democrats competing in tight elections ahead of the midterms openly criticized Biden's plan last week, suggesting the issue is not the Democrats believe will curry favor with moderate voters. Meanwhile, Harris also claims that Americans who earn less than $75,000 is overblown. This is what I was talking about. First, Penn Wharton found that 75% of the benefits is occurring to households making $88,000 or less. Second, the median individual income in America is roughly $67,500. Thus, it would make sense that the majority of debt forgiveness would benefit individuals who earn less than $75,000. So who's paying? The question still remains unanswered, folks. We have no idea, but last Friday, a White House official told reporters that the administration views the plan as a fully paid for by $1.7 trillion in deficit reduction that is attributed to pandemic-related spending that has since dissipated. Think about that, okay? They're saying because you have a $1.7 trillion deficit reduction, that somehow this is going to pay for it. It literally doesn't make sense. Cognitively, it doesn't make sense. In a sentence, no matter how many times you say it out loud, it doesn't make sense. And somehow, you get these Democrats that are all for it. It makes sense to them some way, shape, or form. Who's going to pay for it then? If it makes so much sense to everybody in the Democrat Party and the progressive left, and you're a Democrat or a progressive left that watches this show, you write there in the comments then. Everybody look at the comments. Everybody look that's watching this right now. It's made it this far in the show. Anybody see anybody writing who's going to pay for this thing from the Democrat? I want a Democrat to write and progressive left. Nobody on the Republicans or conservatives, meaning the Bob Bradshaw viewers, don't write who's going to pay for this. Because obviously it's taxpayers. Let's be honest. I want the answer coming from Democrats or Republicans because supposedly to them, this whole thing makes sense. Because if it makes sense, then you know where the money's coming from, who's paying for it. They don't have a clue. They don't have a damn clue. They just want to sit there and rub the shoulders and feet of Joe Biden, the Democrat Party, till it freaking could ride this country just right into the ground, and they'll ride along right with it. And somehow that would make sense to them because America's evil, racist, all these other things. So I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.